All right, here we go. We're at the end of the Cold War. We're at the second subheading, which is the collapse of the Soviet Union. So when Gorbachev was taking power of the Soviet Union in 1985, things were not looking good. There were lots of issues with um, they had issues with Afghanistan. Their consumer items were not nearly as good. The Cold War, especially with Reagan ramping up the spending, was just an exercise of frustration for them. So it was clear that the Soviets needed to change tactics, but what Gorbachev was hoping to do was just tweak what they were doing, and that was not going to be nearly enough. As I mentioned, one of the other things is that the Soviet Union was having to go other places to just even feed the people of their country, going to the U.S. and Canada and other places. This diversion of resources to the military was a huge issue. Their economy was just not big enough to work with both the military and consumer goods for the regular people. So so in all measurable areas, essentially, the Soviet Union was getting worse and worse. And so what what Gorbachev tried to do was basically just try to shock the system by by berating and expecting more from a centralized government, and that was not enough, not even close. And so Gorbachev realized he needed to do other types of reform. He needed to do perestroika or restructuring, which meant to decentralize means that it's not centrally planned anymore, the economy, and then glasnost, which means to open up the Soviet system for public criticism, missions of mistakes, the ability to say the truth of what's actually going on. So what ended up happening is that similar to like the NEP that Lenin was forced to go through, you basically give capitalism an inch and it'll take a mile. So what ends up happening is that both perestroika and glasnost, once the door is open and it becomes clear that people can really complain and say what's going on and give critiques and come up with new ideas, it was very clear that the economic system had to go. Glasnost not only had people who were Russians complaining about how things were going, but it also creates a lot of the other socialist republics. The Baltics, the Georgia Armenians, all these groups decided to follow suit. And basically, just like the Eastern European satellite nations, they wanted to have their own country free of Soviet influence. The other thing that happens is we have a new leader here, Boris Yeltsin, um, who starts to assert himself. And the other thing that happens is that with the Soviet system and the brink of collapse in August of 1991, Gorbachev was vacationing in Crimea and basically was placed under house arrest by some old school hardcore communists. Fortunately for Gorbachev, Yeltsin and the Russian people had had enough of communism and they wanted it to end. So Gorbachev was released, and by the end of December, so on Christmas Day, Mikhail Gorbachev made a call to George H.W. Bush at the time, and letting him know that the Soviet Union was being dissolved and that the Cold War was officially over.